woman tells us a DeKalb County police officer kicked her when she was almost 9 months pregnant.
It was scary. I was shocked.
Raven Dozier was at her grandmother's house watching her brother argue with police. She was crying and questioning why they tased him. Suddenly, she was on the ground.
He really just didn't want me asking him any questions. When I did question him, that's when he kicked me.
A kick so hard it bruised Dozier's stomach. She had an emergency C-section 2 weeks later when doctors realized Levi had defecated in the womb. In his report, Officer Jared Wheeler described it as a front push kick to the abdomen, as he was taught to do at the academy.
What kind of a human being kicks a pregnant woman?
Dozier's attorney was even more shocked when he saw what happened with her complaint to the DeKalb Police Department. No investigation at all, and 5 supervisors, including internal affairs, said Wheeler's actions met policy.
They're showing that there is an ongoing pattern and practice of attempting to clear officers of clearly illegal, unconstitutional, and improper conduct.
Staying tight-lipped. Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Daryl Grade. Merle Purvis is off this evening. The daughter of a shoplifting suspect shot by the Memphis police is speaking out tonight. Kelsey Golden first watched the video, which aired on Fox 13, which appears to show an officer using possible excessive force on her father after he was shot. Now, she says that George Golden is partially brain dead. Police say they shot the suspect after he resisted arrest, and they felt that their lives were in danger during that scuffle. This all went down Wednesday in a Walmart parking lot. Fox 13's Bofta Yamam spoke exclusively with the suspect's daughter. She joins us now in the studio with more. Bofta?
Daryl, we've obtained a police affidavit which doesn't even mention an officer-involved shooting. Kelsey Golden says her father was shot in the chest and is in critical condition tonight. She says doctors told her he's partially brain dead due to lack of oxygen, which she blames on the officers who she says didn't quickly rush him to the hospital. Now she wants answers into possible police misconduct.
In Seattle, a sheriff's deputy has pleaded not guilty to charges he assaulted a 15-year-old girl last fall. Prosecutors have released a surveillance video of the alleged assault. A warning, the pictures you're about to see are disturbing. The video shows 2 King County Sheriff's deputies escorting 15-year-old Malika Calhoun to a holding cell. When Deputy Paul Sheen asked the girl to remove her shoes, she's seen slipping out of her left shoe and kicking it at him. Sheen rushes into the cell, kicks the teen, and pushes her against a corner wall before flinging her to the floor by her hair. He then squats down on Calhoun and hits her twice. Deputies say the girl was, quote, real lippy.
It was horrible. Like, my head hit the wall when he first came in and kicked me, and then my head hit the wall in the back, and then he threw me to the ground, was pulling my hair constantly, and it was just horrible.
Were you screaming for him to stop?
Yeah, I said, I'm not resisting, I'm not resisting.
And what did he say?
He didn't say anything back until after, when I was like, I didn't resist, and he said, well, it was still assaulting an officer.
I do. I think it makes people smile. My name is a mystery. Oh? No, I have nothing to hide.
If the brother touches me, I'm going to be arrested for assault. Do you understand me?
Bubbles.
Yes, that's right. It's a deliberate act on your behalf. I'm going to arrest you. Do you understand me?
I understand.
Right, you're going to be in handcuffs. All right? You either knock it off with the bubble. You touch me with that bubble, you're going into custody. Right?
I'm putting it away.
Right, thank you.
But I would also like to know.
You'll be going into custody.
I understand.
Do we understand each other?
I do. I would
put it away.
I am doing that at this moment.
Right.
I really appreciate
Discussion's
it.
over.
If we could treat.
A SWAT team that raided a home to catch a suspected gunman just won medals for its bravery.
Ma'am? Ma'am?
Now, the problem is they barged into the wrong house. The confusion led to the shootout you just heard with a homeowner trying to protect his wife and 6 kids. So why are the officers being honored? The I-Team's Caroline Lowe took that question to the top.
Just days before Christmas, the sound of intruders breaking into their home prompted Vang Kang to grab a shotgun and his terrified wife to call 911.
Minneapolis 911.
There's an emergency. Kang fired several shots at the intruders, who turned out to be members of the Minneapolis police SWAT team. The officers returned fire. No one was hurt in the shootout, but the house was left riddled with bullet holes and broken glass.
The easy decision would have been to retreat under covering fire. The team did not take the easy way out.
On Monday, with Mayor R.T. Ryback looking on, Chief Dolan recognized the SWAT officers for how they handled the raid at the wrong house.
This is a perfect example of a situation that could have gone horribly wrong, but did not because of the professionalism with which it was handled.
The Kang family was upset today when they learned of the awards given to the SWAT team.
And Caroline says the police department did its own review of this mistake. The chief told her his investigators cleared the SWAT team of any wrongdoing.
In Newark today, a community gathered in an attempt to draw attention to their ongoing fight against senseless violence. It was a peaceful demonstration. That was until the march ended violently as a Newark police officer put a CBS 2 photographer in a chokehold, handcuffed him, and put him in the back of a patrol car. Our Christine Sloan nearly went with him. She has more now from a wild scene.
What started out as a peaceful march in front of a church by parents whose children have been murdered on the streets of Newark.
Put that camera away. Turn the camera on. Put the camera away. Put the camera away. My man, you heard what I just said, man? Now get the camera out of here right now. You get your hands off my camera.
Turned violent when a Newark police officer arrested our CBS 2 photographer covering the story.
Stop! Put your hands behind your back. No, he's going with me. He's going with me.
You can't arrest him!
I can do whatever I want.
The camera kept rolling as the officer put our photographer Jim Quartermine in a chokehold, then handcuffed him.
Why did you hit me and I'm handcuffed?
From the 6 minutes of video captured by 2 Millville police dashboard cameras emerged 2 very different versions of what happened on an early morning last February.
I'm stopping you. I'll tell you in a second. You're on your bike on the sidewalk.
The just-released video is at the center of a lawsuit in which this woman, Sheila Stevenson, claims she became the victim of excessive force after then Millville police officer Carlo Drogo pulled her over for illegally riding her bicycle on a sidewalk.
Take another unit up there, 500 block north second.
In the course of trying to handcuff Stevenson, the video shows Drogo as he sprays himself in the face with pepper spray, and she appears to push him. Drogo then appears to knock Stevenson to the ground to subdue her. Drogo is seemingly doubled over in pain as other officers arrive.
I'm not doing nothing.
Put your hands behind your back.
Can you not do this? I'm not doing
Give me your hand.
I'm
your hand behind your back.
Seconds later, Drogo approaches Stevenson again and appears to punch her 4 times.
Why did you hit me? Why did you hit me? Why did you hit me?
Relax.
Stevenson is eventually led away. She was later convicted of resisting arrest.
Their own dash cam camera was rolling when Cookeville police caught up with a man who was wanted on a domestic assault warrant. According to this federal lawsuit, Carlos Farrell's ex-wife, Tiffany, called police when she spotted him. She was there, standing in the background, when police officer Chris Melton ordered Farrell out of his car.
Put your hands up and get out of the car.
Mr. Farrell gets out of the car, obviously hands raised.
Ben Winters and attorney Blair Durham are representing Farrell. They say police used excessive force in June of last year when they arrested the 28-year-old. In the video, a police canine being held by Officer Jeff Johnson bites what appears to be a compliant Carlos Farrell.
Your dog just ate my leg off.
One of the officers that has control of the dog allows the dog to attack Mr. Farrell even after he's on the ground.
The attorneys also accuse Cookeville police officer Chris Melton of planting drugs on their client.
Now the cops leave. Here's the hand signal.
Officer Melton searches Farrell's pockets at least a half-dozen times. Then, Durham says, another officer appears to give a signal with his hand. Melton reaches into his own right pocket, looks into the camera, and Durham says that's when Melton puts a bag of marijuana into Farrell's pocket.
Whoa, Carlos! Bad, dude. Little weed, bro. Now you got another freaking charge. How about that?
5 Cookeville police officers are named in the suit. Melton is on administrative leave with pay.
If they can tell each other to plant drugs with just a hand gesture, just doing that, you've got to wonder how many other people have gone through this.
door open and get your ID right now.
Confrontation at the door with police is caught on tape. And get this, this is all over a warrant for uncut grass. But the woman you see here says officers have the wrong person.
Okay, the cops are at the door and they want to see my ID.
You are watching video of a woman prepared to answer her door. She knows police are outside and want to know her name. She recorded their encounter.
What's your name?
Robin.
Robin what?
Rockman.
What's your name?
Rockman.
You have your ID?
Show your ID, please.
Let me get it.
The door open.
Excuse me?
Leave the door open and get your ID right now.
I don't even see a name tag on you.
I don't give a shit what you see. Go get your ID. You see that? It says police.
The camera keeps rolling as Robin Ruckman heads back inside and police from Turtle Creek, East Pittsburgh, and the Housing Authority follow her. They came here looking for Ruckman's landlord on a warrant for failing to maintain her property. Her home was one of many police hit during a warrant roundup.
Now to a 41 Action News exclusive. A Leawood family had their home raided because of where they shopped and what police thought they found in their trash. Lindsay Sively has been digging into the story for weeks now, and tonight has records that reveal surprising surveillance and a false drug arrest.
The Hart family had to sue to see these records, never knowing why this happened to them. Now we know what started as an innocent shopping trip led to officers digging in their trash and finding something they thought was illegal. Just released video reveals what Johnson County Sheriff's deputies saw after raiding this Leawood home last April. They searched every nook and cranny looking for marijuana. When we first met the Harts in March, they had no idea what triggered the traumatic 2.5-hour search that kept the Harts' 13- and 7-year-old children on the couch and Dad on the ground.
Face down, hands behind my back, some goon standing over me with an assault rifle.
Deputies found nothing except a father-son creation, this hydroponic garden with tomatoes and squash.
Trying to tell them they were in the wrong house. We're not drug users, we never have been.
We reached out to the Johnson County Sheriff's Office. They declined to comment. The Hart family released a statement reading in part, quote, "We cannot understand how the low level of police work, which included using an unreliable marijuana field test, could have permitted a SWAT-style raid of our home." You can read their entire statement by going to kshb.com.
I've been so traumatized I don't sleep at night.
Sally Prince is afraid to stay in her Des Moines home. She isn't afraid of burglars breaking in. She's afraid of the police. Ankeny police tell us they knocked first, but the video tells a different story. It shows one officer pounding on the side of the house. Seconds later, officers use a battering ram to force their way in. The family believes the police were also trying to cover up the way they were executing the warrant by covering up and, in one case, even ripping out a security camera. You can see this officer spots the security camera in front of the house and then rips it right out. Another officer spots this video camera downstairs and covers it up. The family says if the police had knocked, they would have opened the door and allowed the officers to search the home. Now they say they're scared the police may come back.
The police are supposed to protect and serve, not make you in fear of them.
Police in Ogden, Utah, raided the home of 45-year-old Todd Blair in the middle of the night, reportedly while investigating his roommate. The police burst in the home to find Mr. Blair standing inside the door with a golf club, and within seconds, and without a warning like drop your weapon or something like that, Police Sergeant Troy Burnett shot Mr. Blair 3 times directly, killing him instantly. We want to warn you, the video you are about to see is graphic and it is disturbing, but it is vital so America sees what can happen to innocent people when the drug war goes terribly wrong. Take a look.
Police search warrant! Police search warrant! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Who's in this house? No, what's going on? Keep going through.
I got it. So, question. How many more of these killings of innocents inside the home of the innocent have to occur before there's enough outrage so that these things stop.
I mean, this isn't even the most recent killing in one of these raids. Yuri Stamps, I think he was about 67, 68 years old, was killed in New Hampshire, or I'm sorry, in Massachusetts during one of these raids. And he was unarmed, he was completely innocent. They actually were after his son.
Right.
The problem is that the police are creating these situations in the first place, that we are policing nonviolent consensual crimes with these very violent, volatile tactics. And
Right.
I mean, these consequences are predictable, and they're going to continue happening until we change.
We have a breaking story just posted to the RTR newsfeed regarding, get this, a SWAT team called in by the Department of Education to raid a home and collect a debt.
This is what they did to my door.
At 6 this morning, a SWAT team surprised Kenneth Wright at his front door.
In my underwear. In my underwear. Before I get to the door, I hear him say, hit it.
Wright later complained to Stockton's mayor and police, but the city pointed to the U.S. Department of Education.
They say you owe a student loan and you gotta pay it. I just had my door kicked in because of this.
And he has this warning to former students that the federal government's coming to collect in a big way.
People that have student loans out there or people that owe money, please pay your bills, take care of your credit. If you don't believe me, this could be you one morning, 6 o'clock in the morning.
With the help of the Stockton Police Department, News 10 was able to contact one of the federal agents who was at the search this morning, who gave us a Washington, D.C. number for the Office of the Inspector General, who confirmed it was the Department of Education who conducted the search, but they can't discuss anything in the case until it's closed, not even if it's policy to break in and handcuff people who default on student loans.
The use of SWAT teams to enforce student loans provides yet another example why education should be handled at the state and local level, and why homeschooling families should be encouraged and not threatened. What happened here is an absurd abuse of power from the federal level and should not be tolerated by a free people. Wall Street bankers are handed trillions of dollars in bailout money because they can't pay their loans. However, as the average American finds themselves unable to pay their mortgages and student loans, is this how the federal government will respond? Bailouts for bankers and SWAT teams for the people. At this rate, it will not be long before the federal government triggers an open revolution.